Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they want to do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I want to share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Well, hello everyone. If I look a little worse for the wear, I hope you will forgive me. And if I look all, official in the jacket, for one thing, it's cold. And I'm like not in frame, am I? There we go. For one thing, it's cold down here. I'm banished to the basement. But also, I just came from a county affiliate meeting. And just FYI, point of trivia, I try not to go to any LP meetings in casual clothes. We had a former chair of Colorado named Jeff Orr, and he had always impressed me because he came dressed to the nines to every LPCO meeting, no matter how trivial. And he said he kind of viewed it as Christians in church. He's not a religious man, he's a pagan, I believe, but he said, the party deserves my best, so I will dress my best for the party. And that really made a big impression on me. And from that moment on, you'll never see me in a Zoom meeting that has to do with the party, unless it's casual training, like for historical volunteers or something, but never a meeting in casual attire. And if you ever see me at a county meeting or a board meeting, LPCO, it's because something happened and I just didn't have time to change my clothes. So if you're curious, though, why when I come from these meetings, I seem dressed up, that is why. So, you guys, wow. Before we get started, I keep forgetting to do this. And I'm going to talk about this for one moment. There's my Patreon, I guess is what it's called. If you guys support my work and want to help me during my time of unemployment, I would really appreciate it if you could become a patron. I'm going to take that off of there. You all know what it is. Patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty, and that big text distracts me. I'm realizing there's a huge also opportunity here during my time of unemployment that so many people have told me that these breakdowns that I do are very, very valuable for people to understand the inner workings of the party, never mind when there's drama, just in general, to train up future leaders. And I'm realizing this may be an opportunity, if I could swing it, to perhaps just go into full-time activism. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm the primary breadwinner because my husband works at real estate, which is feast or famine. You can't count on regular there with that. When he does well, it's really well. When there's nothing, it is dry. I was going to make a joke about that really nasty misogynistic email that sent over me where they claimed I had a DAP instead of a WAP. But, yeah, maybe this was fate's way of pushing me into this. So I am not going to be quite so shy as I have been about asking for support because I do give value. So, you know my Patreon, and if you care to participate in Super Chats, I really appreciate it. But as you know, I try to answer all relevant questions anyway. You do not have to do a Super Chat to get my attention. It's simply to help. But that's what libertarians are very good at. Helping. We're good at a lot of things. We're good at not helping too sometimes, but we are very good at helping. And I am kind of a little bit loopy. I'm very, very, very tired. But I'm finding there is, oh yeah, and thank you, Rich. Thanks to generous support, I am going to Pork Fest. I am so happy. I cannot even tell you. I wanted to go so badly. I didn't want it to be this way or because of this, but I can't say I'm mad about it. So I'm leaving Tuesday after the show. Actually, I have to give plain information, but you guys raised the money for me to get there like in 2 hours. It was amazing. So I'm actually speaking too. I'm not just going. I am a speaker at Pork Fest. Oh my God. I feel like I've made it. You know, I tried to get to be a speaker at Freedom Fest, but I asked too late. They were interested, but by the time I asked, this mic keeps, I want to try to, Wayne has to fix this. Let me, it keeps creeping down on me. So I want to try one more time to tighten this boom. But if it keeps creeping down, we'll just have to ignore it. Wayne's got to work on that. He knows that. He's been very busy as well. But guess what I'm speaking on? If you haven't seen the schedule, bold messaging in the LP. Booyah! Woof! And you know I'm going to put on the rocket boosters. You know it's going to be fire, man. Listen, and oh, I'm so excited. And just seeing everybody is going to be freaking fantastic. And I think I hear Jackie Perry wailing. Oh, so yeah, leaving Tuesday. But to you, my Michigan friends, don't worry. I have not forgotten about my commitment to you. So, my poor husband. So I'm leaving Tuesday. I'll be at Pork Fest Tuesday through Friday. I'm leaving Friday evening for Detroit to go to the Michigan convention, which I was... I'm not even sure what Matthew Hurd is on about. Matthew, sometimes I never know what you're on about. I think, I don't know. You're yelling about something. You and I were either friends or enemies, and I usually have to wait for you to tell me which it is on any particular day. So it looks like we're in enemy mode again. So I don't care. Whatever. I probably will start setting up a Twitch account, Tyler. You know that I'm very much a virgin when it comes to these things. Yeah, Matthew, too bad, so sad. I'm not. And let me tell you something. In my live streams, critics are welcome, but not if they're abusive. So we will promptly ignore you if you're abusive, but if you're not, I will interact with you. I interact with everyone. I interacted with Jackie Perry the other day, and we had a very nice, polite, discussion. And I see the questions, and I will answer them. But let me just kind of do my opening monologue. And does anyone know how I can promote a moderator? Because I'll go do this right now so that we can show Mr. Hurd the door, because he's choosing to be abusive. Let me go here and see if I can figure it out. If not, we'll just ignore him. I had somebody the other day who just kept posting about his penis. So I don't imagine Mr. Hurd can be worse than that. He can provide entertaining. At least he can't scream here. Okay, just give me 1 second. My beauties. Or, no, the way I put it. Give me a second, bitches. Let me see what I can do here. Settings? Is that how you do it? Permissions? Manage? Oh, so I'd make somebody a manager? Is that how I would do it? I don't know, and I don't want to fuck up my channel, so I'm wondering if I go to my own live stream, which would be really like Inception. If I do that, can I remove somebody? You guys let me know. I'm not looking at comments right now, so I'll be back at comments in a minute. I'm trying to see if I can figure this out. So if I go to live, right here, okay, go to the stream, and let me hit pause. So, whoa. Let me hit pause on the video. Should be in channel settings, invite someone to be a manager. I trust you, Timothy. Do you have a YouTube account that I can do that? I'm going to go to settings, and then I'm going to go back. I see permissions, manage permissions, manage permissions. Got to verify it's me. It's me. Oh, it's making me get a verification code on my phone, and I'm using more ways to verify. Let's see. It's making me get a verification code at my phone. I will just let him rant. It doesn't really bother me if it doesn't bother you guys. So anyway, let's continue. So yes, I am going to PorcFest. That is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So why I am here, I do know that I need to set up some managers, and I'll do that. Oh, it says you can click on a commenter. It's still asking me to verify my account because I'm on a VPN, so it's like not recognizing where I'm at. I'll take care of it some other time. I do have it on my to-do list. I really don't care because people like that just make fools out of themselves. But it bothers some of the other people commenting. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. But I had some people write me afterwards to say that Mr. Penis Spammer the other day was really bothering them. So now to say the topic of today, and thank you for the super chat. I saw that earlier. Thank you so much. The topic for today is some people are not understanding why I'm refusing to vote on the motion to disaffiliate. The only votes remaining are myself and the chair votes last. He doesn't have to vote last. He could vote right now, but he's waiting for a reason because he wants to make some kind of grand statement, and I'm not handing that to him. So I'm going to tell you all the reasons why right now I'm not voting. But primarily, the reason I am not voting is I don't know why this motion is being made. and there's a Game of Thrones going on, and I don't play the Game of Thrones. Our chair never, ever makes a motion that he knows will lose. He might risk losing, but he never makes a motion that he knows will lose. And he knows this motion will lose. So why is he making it? I don't play games. I'll tell you right off what I'm doing. And I don't like being a pawn in a game. And since I cannot figure out what this game is, though TJ laid out what he would do if he was chair, and I know TJ would not agree with my characterization, but I don't agree what he would have done if he were chair would have been proper. I think it would have been highly improper. And if that's the reason that JBH is doing this, I'm not going to abate impropriety. But the issue, not just not knowing what's going on, there is a couple other issues. First of all, it doesn't list valid grounds for disaffiliation. Our bylaws say that an affiliate can be disaffiliated for cause. The whole reason to give cause is so that there's a record on appeal for the Judicial Committee. If a vague cause is given, there's nothing for the JC to review. Now, I want to tell you something. This doesn't only protect the rights of the affiliate that is potentially being disaffiliated. It protects the rights of the people who want to see the affiliate disaffiliated. I am protecting their rights as well. Because if this motion fails, everyone just thinks about the right of appeal that LPNH would have, but they forget that the people who want them to be disaffiliated, if we don't, they also have a right to appeal. And they will definitely lose the appeal, not on its merits, but because there's absolutely nothing for the JC to review. A vague ground of violating the statement of principles leaves nothing for the Judicial Committee to review. So the people who want to see LPNH disaffiliated have the right to have a clear record for appeal, and LPNH deserves to know the specific charges against them. This is no different than if someone just I moved to censure the chair. Why? Because he's bad. That's not grounds. If JBH were to be the subject of a removal motion or a censure, he deserves to know the exact charges against him. And the same way, the LPNH deserves to know the exact charges against them. Now, originally, when I decided I was going to refuse to vote, I didn't feel that was my decision to make, because voting on that would have been the fastest way for them to get back their data. But they've since gotten back their data, not through National. Gilletta Jarvis gave it back to them. So there is absolutely nothing at all at risk here for the LPNH. Those who keep yelling at me, saying I'm holding up their remedy, no, I'm not. They have their data and they have their property. And I spoke with believe it was the vice chair, acting chair. The roles are getting very confusing to me. Nolan. I spoke with Nolan tonight and asked them if I still have their blessing to not vote on this motion. And he said he needed to talk to the executive committee again tomorrow, but as far as he knew, I did. And I said, well, I'll make a video tonight explaining all my reasons, show it to your executive committee, and if they wish me to vote to get it over with, I will. And I also had another issue that I'm going to put aside here for a second, because we're going to get into some parliamentary stuff. So I'm preserving everyone's rights here. And, you know, if you're irrational and you have derangement syndrome and can't see that, but any of you who really want to see New Hampshire disaffiliated, I'm trying to give you the grounds to have a valid appeal to the Judicial Committee. I still think you'll lose, but I want you to lose fair and square. I don't want you to lose because you don't have a good record on appeal, and any attorney knows the validity of a good record on appeal. So those are the reasons I am not voting. I will let that ballot run out to the 7th day if I have to, but I won't have to, because I raised a point of order saying that there were not grounds stated as required by our bylaws. JBH made the motion to disaffiliate, but then he also ruled on my point of order. I do not think it's valid for a chair to rule on a point of order on their own motion. That's like the police investigating themselves. He should have let the vice chair make that point of order ruling. So, in the interest of compromise, but it turns out we consulted our parliamentarian, and while Roberts may think it's wise for the chair not to do this, because email ballots are not specifically covered under Roberts, it is his opinion that technically the chair can rule on his own motion. I think that's highly inequitable, and here's where I've always had a disagreement with Roberts. I think equity always prevails over strict adherence to rules, and it is highly improper and inequitable. But it's technically allowed. Doesn't mean you should do it, but you can do it. So fine. So I had said to the chair tonight, because he wanted to try to convince me to vote anyway, because he said my rights of appeal would be preserved. Yeah, they'd be preserved, but no one's going to vote to appeal on a motion that is closed. He knows that would prejudice my rights. So I said, I'll make a compromise with you. I'll give up a right if you give up a right. I'll vote immediately. If you let the vice chair rule, I'll accept his ruling. I won't appeal it if I don't agree with it. Deal? I don't know. I started live streaming immediately after that. If he lets the vice chair rule and the vice chair rules it's in order, I'll vote. But I deserve a fair ruling on my point of order. So tomorrow night, either way, it'll be resolved, because tomorrow night we have an LNC meeting, and I will raise my appeal there. The body will either vote to sustain or overturn. Then my rights to appeal will be exhausted, and I will immediately vote. So the vote will be done tomorrow. One way or another, tomorrow morning, the LPNH XCOM may say, listen, we're tired. Can you just vote and get it over with? Out of courtesy to them, I will. Unless, let me give you an unless members who wish to see them disaffiliated write me and say, no, we appreciate you protecting our rights for appeal, then I will protect those members. But absent that, one way or another, this is going to be over with tomorrow. That motion. You have to be pretty damn stuck in your ways and not wanting to see things equitably or fairly if you don't think that's reasonable. So now let's talk about why I think it's completely improper for a chair to rule on their own motion. To me, that should be patently obvious. But I think it relates to the idea that a chair shouldn't vote unless it's to cause or break a tie. Roberts doesn't say they can't vote. It says they shouldn't vote. Same situation here. Why shouldn't they vote? The chair, in order to keep and maintain the confidence and trust of the body, is supposed to do their utmost to maintain a position of impartiality. That is not required of any other member of the committee, just the chair. And by voting when it's not to cause or break a tie, you are slowly eroding that appearance. If you do it once in a while, that is okay. But if you do it every time, JBH tends to vote on every single motion, and that's highly improper. So I now have the link to where I asked this question on the Roberts Rules Forum, and I'd like to share with you what they said. Not this question about what's going on now. The question of whether the chair should routinely vote. I'm going to try to move that again. Whether the chair should routinely vote, because you little bastard. I'm going to do this again. I think it's because my strength. I can't clamp it down well. My lack of strength. Okay, it's out of the picture again. On whether or not the chair should routinely vote on motions. So we are going to go over that, and then I am going to answer questions. So let me first find where I saved the link. I thank Richard Brown for finding me this link because I couldn't find it yesterday. And now let me go pull up the Roberts Rules Forum. I haven't asked them yet their opinion on this situation, but I trust Richard Brown, our convention parliamentarian, who told me technically it is allowed. So let me pull up this old discussion thread if it works. Okay, let me pull this up. There we go. This is on the Robert's Rules Forum. And I want to put my smiling face up here because I think it makes it more personal, but I'll move it out of the way. Hold on, let me resize and move me right there. Okay. So I'm just going to read this aloud because a lot of people aren't sitting in front of their computers when they listen to commentary streams. I said a question came up whether or not the chair could vote in an oral roll call vote when it wasn't to cause or break a tie. I had said no, he cannot, based upon the following reason, but was told I was incorrect. Was this incorrect? And if so, can you please show me how? And I said page 53, beginning on line 15. Chairs vote as part of announcement where it affects the vote. And now we're quoting Roberts. If the presiding officer is a member of the assembly or voting body, he has the same voting right as any other member, except in a small board or committee, however, which the LNC is not a small board or committee, unless that vote is secret, that is, unless it is by ballot. Then I bolded, the chair protects his impartial position by exercising his voting rights only, and I all capped and underlined that myself, only when his vote would affect the outcome, in which he can either vote and thereby change the result, or he can abstain. To me, I read this as saying he can't vote otherwise. But apparently that's not the way to read that, but that's the way I read it. But here's where I was corrected, but you'll see there's a lot of caveats here. And then I said, because there's another thing here. I still think my interpretation is correct. Continuing to page 394, lines 24 through 29. If the presiding officer is a member of the society, he has, as an individual, the same right in debate as any other member. But the impartiality required of the chair in an assembly precludes. We could look up what synonyms of precludes are, and it is prohibit. His exercising those rights while he is presiding. And page 404, lines 20 through 24. If the presiding officer is a member of the assembly, he can vote as any other member when the vote is by ballot. And here's where I think Roberts contradicts itself. And this is why they say he can, but he shouldn't. In all other cases, the presiding officer, if he is a member of the assembly, can, but is not obligated to whenever his vote will affect the result. You see, it's still only talking about when it will affect the result. That is, he can vote to break or cause a tie. Continuing to page 421, lines 421 through 423. The roll is called in alphabetical order, except that the presiding officer's name is called last and only when his vote will affect the results, which is why I never called the chair. He still votes anyway. After I give him the total, he then says his vote, which he should not do. To me, these are very, very clear. The authors disagree with me. And I would say the authors probably understand the book better than I, but I think then they need to write better, because this, to me, with precludes, and it gives all these conditions, that unless it's to cause or break a tie, the presiding officer should not vote. And I say the same thing. He should not rule on his own motion. And the reason is to protect his impartiality. Okay, now here's Daniel Hahnemann. Daniel Hahnemann and I have a very uneasy relationship because he thinks I'm a social justice warrior because I complained about the word chairman. So he's so convinced that I don't wear a bra and have hairy armpits. So, it doesn't seem like here, though, he definitely disagrees with me. He says, and this is an author of Roberts, the only reason I can think of as to why you were told that you were wrong is that it is not correct that to say that the presiding officer can vote only to cause or break a tie. He may vote whenever his vote will affect the result. And that's what I meant. I was being imprecise. He votes when his vote will affect the result. He shouldn't vote like when it's 9-4 and his vote's not going to make a difference. The question being voted on may require something other than a majority vote for its adoption. So that's why cause or make a tie only is about majority. So he is correct here. And I need to be more precise, but I think you guys know what I meant. And then I clarified. The question we were voting on was a simple majority. Notice I never use the word simple majority anymore. I'll explain to you guys why you should never use the term simple majority. I've been learned otherwise. Thank you for the correction on the correct terminology. I am the secretary of this body, so I don't call the chair in the roll call of votes unless his vote will affect the results. And here I said every once in a while, but it's almost every time. I was being kind. But every once in a while, the chair will interject that he votes in a certain way anyways. He usually does not. And I think this might be before he started. Actually, now that I'm going back, I don't think he did this in the beginning, and he's doing it more and more. Because we're going back a year ago, so my memory could be fuzzy. And I said, and we are not a small board, just to be clear on that. We have 17 voting members. Oh, I said, and the rationale for saying I was incorrect, that these rules are should nots and not can nots. Okay, now here we go. Well, if your chair insists on doing things that he shouldn't do, it reflects poorly on him, of course, but I suppose he just doesn't care. This is the author of Roberts about chairs voting when their vote will not affect the result. So he should not even be saying that he's going to be casting a vote in this disaffiliation motion. He should be saying he's going to abstain because his vote is not going to affect the results. And then here's Richard Brown, our parliamentarian. And he said, I believe the question being asked is, or should be, if the chair is a member of the assembly, does he have the right to vote in a roll call vote if he insists on it, even if his vote will not affect the outcome and the assembly is not using small board rules? He says, I believe the first sentence of the answer to fact number 1, but I wasn't quoting FAQs. I was quoting the book itself. And I don't think FAQs overrule the book itself. If the president is a member of the voting body, he or she has exactly the same rights as all other members have, including the right to make motions, to speak and debate, and to vote on all questions. That's an FAQ that's not from the book. And he says, see also this provision on page 23, which I quoted up above. And that is qualified by other ones where it says he is precluded from doing so unless it's going to affect the vote. So, our parliamentarian says, in conclusion, it seems clear to me that the so-called prohibition on the chair voting is a should not rule, not a cannot rule. I disagree. But in any case, it's still a strong should not in the best of circumstances. And at the time, I thought it made sense, but I've since been going over this, and I don't think it makes sense. And that is it there. So the Mr. Hahnemann said it reflects very poorly on a chair to vote when his vote will not affect the results. And that's my rationale for why he should not be ruling his own motion in order. That is, I can't believe I even have to explain that. Okay, let me get this little me, the mini me off, even though having a mini me might be useful. This is not going to be a super long stream. I'm freaking tired and I got a lot to do tonight. So I want to now answer questions. Oh, and Timothy said I probably was describing Nick. That might be it, because JBH, I think, votes in almost every. It's when he abstains is that he's making a statement. He abstained on the vote to bring in Tom Woods. He voted on every other motion that meeting. Okay? And I agree here. Real libertarians don't threaten to sue for bullshit defamation. I don't believe defamation is a libertarian cause of action. I would never, I'll defend myself. And I think I have an attorney already. I'm waiting to hear back who will represent me gratis. A libertarian attorney. You don't sue. And I wasn't defaming anybody. I was asking a question. That is a power trip and a half to try to silence a board member from asking a question by saying you're going to sue them. Go ahead. Make my day. And you as well, Christian, please be sure to come up and let's hang out. Okay, Benjamin, this is a great question because actually what's going on right now gives me more hope in the Libertarian Party, and I'm going to explain why. I've said this so other people will have heard this before, but I don't think it can be said enough. If this shit were going on in the RNC and DNC, do you think any one of their officers would be spilling the beans? No. All of a sudden, they'd know something about Hillary and be out of the picture. The fact that I can do this shows that there is great hope in the Libertarian Party. Because it's politics. This shit's always going to go on. If you're expecting libertarian politics where there's quote-unquote power to not have bad actors and shit going on, then you're just living in la-la land. But the fact that there's so many people exposing it gives me hope and energizes me. So, thank you, new subscriber. And what do I think of the most moisturized motherfucker you know running for president? I love him. I'm here for it. And he needs to let me know his moisturizer. Funny, my husband and I, after my husband watched Dave Smith for the first time the other day, and I'm like, wasn't he very dewy? And when he's like, it's lighting. I'm like, it's not just lighting. He's got great skin. I want his moisturizer. He shouldn't be advertising underwear with dick pouches and fucking good soap. He needs to be advertising moisturizer. Telling ya. Though I am very intrigued by the underwear, I will say. Oh, God. Well, Matthew, he doesn't get till after my talk. I'm sure it'll be recorded. And I think if more spot clears up, they might let me talk on a few other things. But in any event, I'm there for whatever they need. They need volunteers, whatever. I'll help however I can. Tyler asks, what are the current motions on the table regarding JBH? I'm not sure what you mean by regarding JBH. There's none really. Here's the current motions that I have that will be addressed tomorrow. Appeal from my ruling of the chair on whether or not his motion for disaffiliation is sufficient. Number 2, asking him, since he acted in our name, to reveal the whole chain of communications that led up to that letter to Gilletta Jarvis, including who asked him to write it. Oh, that would be fun. A theology night. That would be fun, though I probably would not do that on this channel. But I have a second channel. That's my beauty channel, but it's kind of like my beauty and everything that isn't politics channel called Actually It's Karen Ann. I've got 10 subscribers, because I don't put much work into it. But if I do a theology night, I probably do it over there. Let's continue. And Death is just being very deathy. In comments, he's being very nihilistic. I'm here for it, Death. I'm here for it. I love you, Death. Well, that came out wrong. You can wait a while for me, though, can't you? Tyler. No, he has not clarified the cause. That's my appeal. And I'm going to answer one question of Mr. Hurd. It's my understanding that there was he doesn't have the Twitter keys and is not going to have the Twitter keys. That's all. There hasn't been any kind of public announcement. I can only tell you what my understanding is, but you'll have to go talk to the LPNH board. I saw the harassment he did of a minor. It's gross and disgusting, and I absolutely condemn it. What Mr. Kaufman's behavior over the past couple days, which I witnessed in real time, is inexcusable. Now, as far as his past behavior with the screenshots that are floating around, he has said they're out of context. I didn't see them happen. I'm willing to talk to him to see what his case is. But as far as the ones for the past few days that I witnessed with my own two eyes, inexcusable. I'm Daniel W. No, I'm leaving. I'll be in Michigan within an hour and a half of the same time I was going to be there, flying from Denver. I'm going to be an hour and a half later, but I was already coming in, I think, at like 7:15, 8:15, and I'm coming in at like 9 something. So, yeah. And I have to look at the difference in ticket price. I think they're the same, but I actually think the one from New Hampshire might be cheaper, which means I'll have some money to give back to Michigan because they paid for my tickets. Let's see here. I already answered Benjamin's question. Fat Nick, you know, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to turn you on, baby. Let's go play some 3D chess and shit on Tom Woods for a while, right? Oh, God. The vote is at... Okay, there's 17 members. 2 of us haven't voted. So that leaves 15. There was 1 abstention. 14, there was 1 yes. 13 no's, 1 abstention, 1 yes. JJ, who's a parliamentarian, by the way, everybody. I don't agree, and the history of our party doesn't agree, because we have had disaffiliations before, and I think all of the parties should revolt because we don't want you to be an affiliate anymore would be a good reason. Fat Nick says Tucker Coburn for LNC chair. Good luck with that, Fat Nick. And let me see here. I agree with you, Tyler. I don't think he should be able to either, but he can. Can and should are 2 different things. Just like we say in libertarian circles just about rights. Just because you have a right to do something doesn't make it right to do it. We don't need an official ruling regarding New Hampshire. We haven't disaffiliated them. They are the affiliate. Simple as that. There's nothing that needs to be done, and they have their data back. You too, Mark. I'm sure we'll be best buddies again next week. I know how it goes. Where he said good night. And, oh, I promised Diana that I would deal with this. I don't know if there'll be a motion to remove the chair. There's, the votes aren't there. And do you follow the Ender's Game analogy? If you try to go for the king, you better make sure he stays down. If there isn't the votes, Is it worth it? That's a decision that'll need to be made. Boards never remove their own, or rarely. This isn't an indictment on the LNC. Boards are just like that. I'm not even sure if there's the political will to censure, if we even wanted to do that. The LNC is an inherently incestuous political beast that is very, very reluctant to discipline its own. I tend to agree with you, Tyler. I think that there should be a recall process, but there isn't. So this is all that there is, and this is what the delegates voted on. The delegates voted on giving the LNC this power. So, and I had already talked about whether I think it will happen. I don't. We allow chairs to unilaterally sponsor email ballots. It's not unusual. But he shouldn't be ruling, in my opinion, on points of order on his own motions. And he shouldn't, and he should ask the vice chair to preside over those motions. And GGelf7 says, if any other YouTubers want to discuss this in a panel discussion, hit him up. He's got a great YouTube channel, so feel free. Yeah, Rich, this is exactly it. Yeah, imagine what's going on in the RNC and DNC that you don't know about. At least in the LP, you know, at least while I'm around, I'll start shrieking. Like it, not like it, at least you know, you'll know. CJ Abernathy, I have to confess ignorance. I don't know who Christy Noam is. I somehow feel like maybe I'm being real stupid here. But if you could give me some more info, I'm so sorry. Tyler, how big is the city council? If it's a small board, in small boards, chairs can move motions, vote. They act like a normal member. But when I'm in a small board, I still don't do that. Or I do that very, very rarely. The minute you lose the confidence of the rest of the body to your impartiality, you might as well resign. You've lost their trust. Timothy is right. That you solved my confusion. The forum posts were from June. That's why I said rarely. I was wondering if I was just being kind, or did he change? Is my memory? I know I'm getting old, but Nick rarely voted. That's true. But I think I was referencing his $75 an hour thing where he did vote. Robin asks, is it possible Brian Shields is a secret person? Anything's possible at this point. Do I think so? No. Assassin Panda, who's threatening to sue me? JBH is. Rich, I didn't see any kind of statement Bryant made about being involved. If you have that, I'd love to see it. Hello, Julian. And Julian, when I figure out how to do like chat moderators, because you're at nearly all of my live streams, would you consider being a chat moderator? I'd really appreciate it. There's a few of you guys I'm going to ask, like Timothy, but Julian, you're the most consistent attendee. So is Elastic Giraffe, by the way, but... The breakdown with Birkenhoff. Did I see the statement LPNH put out? There's been many statements. Are you referring to the one today where it says they got their data back? If so, yes. If you're referring to the one when there was the attempted coup, yes. I don't know of any others. And Death is here as moral support, and we appreciate that, Death. I don't know who you are, dude, but I love you. I see you, JJ. Is there something I missed that I should have addressed? Let me know. C45.5. Well, look what I have here. The Holy Book. So let's see 45.5. I know none of you are surprised that I have it with me. And that I've got this nice little binder. So 45.5. Ballot? Are you sure? Well, let me find it. Oh, and I did get that article you sent me, JJ, and I'm going to read it on coups. I just haven't had a chance to, and I don't know if I thanked you for it yet. I was looking at 44.5. I was going, what is 40? You said 45.5. Okay, let me find that. Don't you hate when binders like the little clips don't go all together, you know, fit and the paper keeps slipping between them? Voting on questions affecting oneself. I don't think that necessarily applies. Because this doesn't really affect himself. I mean, he's involved, but I'm not so sure Oh, I see what you're saying. You're not saying that applies here. You're giving an analogy that while somebody should not vote on something affecting themselves, they can, and then they can be disciplined for it. Kind of like the $75 an hour that Nick voted to give himself. And Rich, I love Kokesh. So, yeah, I was thrilled to be invited. It's always cool to be on his show. Okay, let's see here. Diana, I understand it. You're going to have to make your own decisions. I didn't say I wasn't going to make the motion, but I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm thinking about resolving the New Hampshire issue. Once that's resolved to not everyone's satisfaction, but at least to the aggrieved affiliates' satisfaction, then I'll look at the LNC. But I have my priorities in that order, and they're going to remain in that order. Okay, this is interesting. Rich Clark is posting a quote from Brian Shields. I do not think that this means he's the third person who arranged all this. It means he definitely supported it and was involved, but I don't think he's the whatever. And isn't he like the ex-chair? That's pretty rotten. So he says, by all means, this is not over. What, you can't stand that you lost an election? Fuck off. Oh, the Mountain Dew is very sus. It's definitely diet. I've paid too much money in dental work. to ruin them. Ha! Plot twist. It's Dave Smith. Plot twist. It's Michael Heiss. You know, never trust here's the plot twist. 2 people in the world you should never trust. Well-moisturized people and gingers. Oh my word. Okay, yeah, and the breakdown what Birkenhoff said about their data. Yeah, that's why there's no hurry now for me to vote on that. Everyone keeps trying to pressure me to vote on that, saying I'm holding up them getting their data. No, I'm not. What is a secret person? Let me explain. When I spoke with Gilletta Jarvis, and there was a comment made in the Mises Caucus, and this is why people are bigly mad at me. That said they had plans, but what their plans didn't take into consideration is me doing interviews of the involved people immediately and making them public. They didn't count on that. I was supposed to be in Florida, otherwise occupied. They didn't count on that. And if I didn't do that, I don't know where we would be now. And I think that's why people are bigly mad about me doing those interviews and misrepresenting them. With their whole kangaroo court bullshit, play the interviews and show where it was a kangaroo court. I would never treat Gilletta Jarvis badly. She's a friend of mine. And thank you, Julian. Remind me, but I'll get you set up as being a moderator. And we'll talk about my very, very lax moderating philosophy. I hate censorship. It has to be pretty bad for someone to get booted. Oh, so JJ says 45.4. Let me look at that. That's on a question of direct personal interest. Same type of thing. I get it, JJ. So they shouldn't vote, but if they do, they can be disciplined for it. Julian asks about how a county meeting will generally go down. Each county is so different, I can't even tell you. Some of them are just social meetings. Some of them are business meetings. Sometimes they have speakers. I don't know. The one we had tonight, for instance, in Jeffco, Colorado, we had a little presentation on licensing, and then it turned into a social. Please don't be mad at my ginger jokes. I love gingers. I used to dye my hair red before I dyed it pink because I love red hair. And I get really, really angry at those stupid ass Facebook ads where they're like, oh, this concealer covers everything. And they take a beautiful ginger girl and cover her freckles. Fuck that. The freckles are beautiful. Okay, Timothy, excuse me. I don't like shortening people's names without their consent. I'm in a bunch of job interviews tomorrow because I still am looking for a job. So we'll see if we can make that work. And remember, we're going to do an Oregon episode. And thank you on the text. Richard Brown, thank you. Richard Brown says I was very fair, professional, and thorough in the 2 video interviews. Thank you. That means a great deal coming from you. I've been so attacked over those videos. When I went out of my way, I felt to be fair. And I told everyone involved, like I laid it on the table, that I wasn't taking sides. It was fact-finding, but that anything I used was going to inform my opinion. Went out of my way not to put words in their mouth. And Elastic Giraffe says the same thing. And I super appreciate that because the attacks have really been getting me down. I lost a good friend over it. I'm not talking about Gilletta. I believe Gilletta and I will remain friends, but somebody who just decided that they were just going to go on the warpath against me, and never even bothered to talk to me personally, which, if anyone knows me, that's a no-go for me. If we're friends and you got an issue with me, come talk to me first. That doesn't mean you can't go spill the beans publicly after we talk, but you come talk to me first. You know? And Bill, I would love to. I'm going to put this up here where I could do it full time. If I was doing this full time, there would be several videos a day. It wouldn't just be on LP stuff, though. I would do a lot of that because I don't think there's enough LP education, but just general libertarian commentary. And I thank you, Tyler. I continually make it clear she is a personal friend. This isn't easy for me. Not easy at all. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for the questions. I'll give it a few because I do got some work to do, but I felt that the people who were very confused, and let me see if there was an answer from JBH about whether or not he wants to make that compromise with me. I'm sure people are going to get bigly mad and find some way to yell at me over offering that compromise because I can do nothing right, it seems, lately to some people. Richard answered. I didn't ask him. So, and Richard has he's lost his frickin' mind. All he lives to do now is snipe at me. He's your at-large representative, people. Is he representing you? I don't think he is. Oh, and a question was just asked of me about the policy manual change. 1 second. I need to double check when that ballot ends so I can answer that question, and it gives you guys a chance to see if there's any other questions. It's funny also the way these people are pouncing on me to like have things done yesterday when they all are just as busy. Like at 3 in the morning, they're asking me, where's this, where's that? I see you. The ballot expires on the 20th. It's nowhere near the 20th, Francis. What are you talking about? So I'm going to answer that. Because the ballot... Let me make sure, because I think there's still votes outstanding. Actually, I'm going to answer that after I double check that there's still votes outstanding, because I think there is. If there's not, I can close the ballot tonight, and he can have the results. So I'm going to hold off on answering that. Let me see what else is here. Nope, that's it there. I wanted to check the Libertarian Party of Colorado email for a second here, because I've had people now write me all concerned about what I said on Tom Woods. And I was very clear on what I said on Tom Woods. We are going to have bolder messaging. That is what every single new member of the board ran on. If you don't like it, get bigly mad at the delegates, not at the board that is keeping its campaign promises. But it's not going to be shit posting. I think that's what people are worried about. It's not going to be that. But it is going to be bold. So let me see, because I was writing with one of these concerned members, and I'd like to see if he wrote me. Nope, he hasn't written me back yet. I don't expect it because it's late, you know. Unlike some people who are expecting me to work at 3 in the morning, I don't expect people to answer me at 3 in the morning or midnight, which is what it is here. Okay, let's go back to chat. Let me see if there's any other questions. If not, I am going to get back to everything else I need to do, such as jumping when Francis asks me to jump. There is some questions here. I'm going to start from the bottom and move up. Where can you find the interviews with Gilletta and the LPNEC? They're in a Google Drive folder that's been mentioned multiple times on the LNC list. If you email me, I'll send you the link. So yeah, email me at secretary@lp.org and I'll send you the link. CJ, I have to plead ignorance with South Dakota politics. I apologize. I don't like talking on things I don't know a great deal about because I'll end up saying something dumb. Tyler, yeah, I mentioned this on Tom Wood's show, I think. God, I've done so many things now. Yeah, JBH said he had suspicions of what the letter was going to be used for, and he had word of a potential coming split for months. Now, if you knew that, and you all of a sudden you were asked for a letter, wouldn't you ask what it is being used for? If not, perhaps you don't have proper discretion. And I do wonder what his... I know what his suspicions were originally. Never mind. His suspicions were... This is what he says. Is that Gilletta was fearing she was going to get locked out of the Twitter account and she wanted documentation to provide to Twitter. Twitter usually asks for something very specific, though, and you usually get it after they ask for it. I don't believe any of it. Diana asks, no, we don't have any provisions for special conventions, unfortunately. Jake is asking about coming to Illinois. How could that happen? Talk to your convention committee. I'll go anywhere. And Ryan, thank you for being a new LP member. I'm always available for questions if you have any questions on how things go around here. Okay, everyone, I think, yeah, Robin says to find it, if you look for the word folder, you'll find it. But otherwise, anyone who can't find that folder, not in that folder, not only is those interviews, there's all the public documents that there's going to be more I'm going to add because I still haven't gone through all my LNC emails. But when people have sent me things like letters from various involved people, pro, con, hostile, friendly, I've put them in that folder. It's kind of like the public evidence folder. Okay, everyone, I hope you have a good night. And yeah, I got some more work to do to get ready for job interviews. I got 2 of them tomorrow. Good night, mi guapas de libertad.
You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business. Not